Hi class, before we go into the reading for this week, we are going to do a quick review on figurative language. First off, figurative language is often used to create a special meaning or effect, and it cannot be taken literally. Now, this matters because figurative language is important because it contributes to the meaning of the text. It is our job as readers to figure out why the author chose the language that they did. This is why we do analysis of text. So figurative language can enhance characterization in a story. Characterization refers to how the author chooses to reveal a character's personality, virtues, and faults. Short story writers often use similes and metaphors to reveal more about their characters in fewer words. For example, he was sunshine most always. He made it seem like good weather. Which is from the Adventures of Huckleberry Finn by Mark Twain. Right, so it's saying essentially that he is a good person and that he's a positive person. Figurative language also helps to create mood. Figurative language can affect the mood of a short story. The term mood refers to the atmosphere that envelops the reader and invokes certain feelings. For example, I shall be telling this with a sigh. Somewhere ages and ages hence, two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled, and that has made all the difference, which is a poem you may be familiar with, which is The Road Not Taken by Robert Frost. Right? So it gives the reader a mood that they are alone, possibly. You're in a road less traveled, but more so that there is a firm decision made, and it gives this atmosphere of hopefulness. Hopefully that didn't sound too contradictory. I'm not editing this, so here's hoping that this doesn't come out as horrible as I think it does, or will. Okay, figurative language advances the plot. Figurative language can slow the pace of the plot through lengthy descriptions and comparisons to encourage a more philosophical approach, or it can be used to create suspense and drive the storyline. For example, at the end of The Most Dangerous Game, when confronted by General Zaroff for the final time, Rainsford responds, I am still a beast at bay. This metaphor emphasizes the emotional state of Rainsford and foreshadows one last battle. Figurative language also enhances everyday language. Much like figurative language enhances common language, the use of metaphors, similes, and imagery adds to the reader's experience. By utilizing figurative language, an author draws his reader into the story world he has created and encourages the reader to be an active participant, to feel what the characters feel and to see what they see. Now, we're going to go ahead and move on to some examples. After you finish this PowerPoint, you will be quizzed on these examples, so I recommend paying attention and writing them down if that helps you remember. First off is simile. A simile is a comparison of two things using the words like or as. For example, she grew on him like she was a colony of E. coli and he was a room temperature chicken cutlet. Next up is metaphor. A metaphor is a figurative speech that expresses an idea through the image of another object. A metaphor does not use like or as while comparing. Example, she was a couch potato in the gravy boat of life, flopping sleepily on the sofa. Third is personification. Personification is giving human qualities or human form to an object or abstract idea. For example, they say money talks, but mine just waves goodbye. I'm sure you guys can relate, and I'm sure your parents can relate too, especially during this quarantine. Fourth, I believe it's fourth, is alliteration. Alliteration is the occurrence of the same letter or consonant sound at the beginning of at least two closely related words. Did I just say two closely related words? I meant beginning of at least two closely connected words. For example, Bad Bunny bought a bunch of blue Bugattis. Try saying that 5 times fast. Fifth up is allusion. An allusion is an expression designed to call something to mind without mentioning it explicitly, or an indirect or passing reference. Remember, this is an allusion, not an illusion. With an A is a literary device. E with an I is that thing that, hypnotists do or magicians do. For example, what if he's your Romeo but she's not your Juliet? Now, this may sound sad, but don't worry, it just means that you survived the play and you get to, live your life. Next up is imagery. Imagery is a literary device that involves the use of language to create vivid pictures in the reader's mind. Visual imagery helps readers see what is written. Sensory imagery appeals to the reader's other senses, such as smell, feel, taste, listening. Not sure why feel is there twice. Okay, for example, Winston Smith, his chin nuzzled into his chest in an effort to escape the vile wind, slipped quickly through the glass doors. This is an excerpt, or a sentence, rather, from 1984 by George Orwell. If you haven't read it, I do recommend it. It is a very good book, and you'll most likely read it later on in high school, so it's a good thing to read it ahead of time. That way you're more familiar with it. Next is theme. Theme is the main idea or underlying message in a text, which can be explicitly or implicitly stated. Remember, explicitly, it's explicitly stated. That's a horrible explanation. I'm so sorry. It means it's directly stated. Implicit means you have to infer it from your readings. It's implied, but it's not directly stated. For example, love is blind. Right? That's a theme that you'll often see in writings, such as short stories or plays. Sometimes it's discussed in novels, but often it's not the main theme, just a theme. And by the way, Love is Blind is a very, very, very cringy Netflix show that I do not recommend watching. Although, knowing you guys, some of you probably already have. And last but not least is symbolism. Symbolism is the use of symbols to represent ideas or qualities, such as emotions or perspectives within a text. Now, while it's not noted here, symbolism can change based upon a culture or a society. What may mean one thing in another culture may not mean another in a different culture. Or that sentence was horrible. I'm messing up a lot during this presentation. I should probably re-record it, but it is almost 9 o'clock at night and I'm tired. Essentially, symbolism isn't going to be the same. It's going to change based upon culture and one's society, because culture is based off of a system of beliefs, and symbolism or symbols are based off of those beliefs. They stem from them. For example, in Japanese culture, tanukis, or raccoon dogs, are a symbol of joy and mischief. For us in the Western world, it's just a symbol of debt, especially if you play Animal Crossing. You see Tom Nook and you're just like, I owe you money, but I really just want to keep gardening and catching bugs and catching shooting stars and whatnot. And that is the end of the presentation. Thank you for listening to my ramblings and my mistakes as we made our way through that presentation. I want you guys now to go ahead and hit next and go take the quiz at the bottom of the page. And it's one question. You're just going to match up the terms that we went over, and then you'll move on to this week's reading.